we will talk about Puppet and why it is useful, what we do with the help of Puppet today. And as I said, Puppet is just one example, but there are many other tools which can be used. I think some of you already know about Chef, Salt, and all that. So today's situation, right? If you are a system admin, what's your role? You install servers, you install different hosts, you configure them, you even maintain them, ensuring that it is up and running all the time, and you even update the configuration, periodically, or even takes care of security issues, security vulnerabilities. You even patch the system and all that. This is a typical way, how a system admin works today. Why Puppet, right? I think some of you had a question like, can you give me a live example? Now, one example that I gave was about Flipkart, that you have, say, Flipkart, I think, claimed that they had some 5,000 hosts, and on that particular day, they felt that it should have been maybe 5 times. So I'm not sure if it was 500 or 5,000 that they claimed, but on that particular day, they felt that it should have been probably 5 times. And I'm talking about last October's incident where Flipkart went down just after they had a particular ad on that particular day with a lot of offers. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you have that kind of situation and if you do not have automation in place, yes, Varun, so that's a big billion day. Thank you. I forgot about that particular day name. So if they had a kind of automation where they could add servers dynamically and even configure them, probably they would have fixed the problem. Again, if you know about how AWS works, one of the good feature about AWS, which I like, is nothing but elasticity that they provide in EC2, right? So that means you can really have elasticity within your setup, and based on your requirement, you can scale up or down, and you pay for just the differential the capacity that you add, right? And only for the duration that you add, which is nothing but infrastructure as a service that they provide. But again, if you think about what do they do, it's nothing but automation, right? You tell them that the moment it goes beyond, say, 80%, you add few more servers, and they do it automatically. You don't have to worry about. You can even say that, okay, clone one of my web servers and add it to the to the pool, and that's it. Now, maybe in the background they use something like Puppet to configure what you have to clone basically. And yes, Balaji, as you said, it's auto scaling. Now, if you manage your own infrastructure, how would you achieve it? If you have something like, say, Puppet, you can auto scale it. You can define or have some kind of rules in place where it says that, okay, the moment it goes beyond a threshold, you add some capacity, you auto scale your infrastructure. So Puppet is a configuration management tool that is used for deploying, configuring, and even managing servers. Here are some of the features that Puppet provides. I think there is a question. Can we automate web server config files, HTTPS, through Puppet? So Anthony, yes, you can do it. I may not be able to cover the config file, kind of automation or deployment, but I will give you enough idea how you can actually do that. But yes, you can actually automate to have same config file across your web servers. Okay, coming back to Puppet features. So it controls all the steps right from bootstrapping to the end of server life. I think that answers some of the questions that you had. You can define configuration at the node level. So and also you can group them according to the roles. So what I think we have been talking about is that you can have a single Puppet master server where you can have configuration defined for web server, DB servers, app servers, and so on. And the moment you add a capacity to, say, web server layer, the same Puppet master can push, or your web server can pull the configuration just for web server part. Again, if you add an app server, your Puppet master can intelligently know that this is an app server and I need to push maybe, or app server can pull just the config for app server, and so on, right? You don't need to worry about that, what kind of file I need to copy and all that. It's all done. It's all automated. You just have to do very few basic things, and that's it. It maintains consistency across nodes. So that means if you have, say, 100 web servers today, and you add 100 first web server now, and you also made some local config changes, what will happen is, as I said, you can have httpd.conf file centralized on your Puppet master, and any change that you do on your centralized server, that will get replicated across all 101 servers. Now, if you make one local change on 101st server that you added, that will get overwritten, because you definitely want to have consistency across all the 101 servers that you have. Okay, can we integrate Oracle WebLogic Server? Yes, any config, any kind of config that we talk about can be integrated with the help of Puppet. Puppet is known for configuration management tool. I mean, that's the first line on this particular slide. Okay, let's move on. So these are some of the advantages that we have, having Puppet. It keeps verifying the config at specific interval, and of course you can define that. You can have your own cron jobs running on your node machines to pull the data from your master server. You can even run it like every few minutes, just in case you make frequent changes on your master server about and making the changes, the config changes. It defines configuration with the help of Puppet Master. We talked about it. It is a large open source developer base. I think some of you had questioned whether this is a licensed one or the open source. So this particular line answers that it's an open source, and of course, since it is open source, you have large number of developer base who regularly works or constantly works on improving what we have in Puppet today. It works smoothly even with large infrastructure. We talked about that. No matter how big is your infrastructure, you can centrally manage that. If your infrastructure or setup is really big, you can maybe have multiple Puppet masters, and maybe Puppet masters can talk to each other and synchronize. But you can actually use Puppet for even very, very large infrastructure or large enterprise setup. Can we install like GCC on multiple servers using it? Yes, you can. Any installation, any configuration, you can do it with the help of Puppet. Again, using Puppet, it's I'll show you some of the config files. It's very easy to understand. Just like Apache configuration. Apache configuration, you just have to know the Apache directives. It is as easy as that. So you just have to know a few things. Once you know it, it's like very easy to configure. And of course, you have documentation available on the internet. You search and you get the help. Okay, so how Puppet works. I know we are going a little over time. I hope all of you are fine. We will spend another 5 minutes on these slides, and then I'll take another about 5 to 10 minutes to give you a demo. So altogether, I think another 20 minutes we should be done. So someone is asking, that's Varun, that I don't have much programming knowledge. Can I learn Puppet without any programming? Yes, Varun, you can. You don't need to know any programming to use or manage Puppet. You can do it without that. Can we run Puppet on Ubuntu? Yes, any OS in my knowledge. I have installed it on Linux, but yes, you can use it on any at least Unix-based operating system. Okay, continue on Puppet. We are actually late. So let me focus on this one now. So we have Puppet Master, which is the central server we talked about, which contains all the config for different hosts. I think different hosts in this case is, you can have web server, app server, database, and so on. The Puppet Master maintains the manifest on the master machine or host master, the host master machine. Puppet agents are in this case, all the different nodes which are connected to master, which need to pull the configuration from master. And the connection between Puppet master and agent is through SSL, so it is a secure channel. You don't need to worry about whether someone is intercepting anything in between. Puppet configuration. So, I think we have been talking about that. We have Puppet master, you have multiple agents in this case, which pulls up the data based on the configuration that you have made from Puppet master, and then it stores it locally, and then again it refreshes based in case there is any change on the master side. So Puppet, I think in my knowledge, it is Ruby. That's the language, Balasubramaniam, if that's your question. Now we'll show you the demo on Puppet. Just give me a couple of minutes to log into my service. Okay, this is my Puppet client machine, and with green background. I hope all of you can see it. I will show you the Puppet config file. Sandeep, give me a few more minutes. So there is a question, can we install Puppet Master on one OS and Puppet agents on different OS? Yes, you can. It is not dependent on any type of OS. Okay, so let's continue on Puppet demo. So the screen that you see with white background is my Puppet master host, and the screen with green background is Puppet client, just to differentiate. Now let me go to Puppet master. So, and I'll show you the config that I have done. But before that, let me maybe share some of the URLs which can help you configure Puppet, and I'm sending it to everyone so that all of you can see it. Okay, so I just sent you few links and few commands on how you can start Puppet master, Puppet client. Can at least one of you confirm that you have got everything that I sent? What I sent is, it starts with Puppet word, and I have 3 URLs and then a couple of commands to start Puppet client and Puppet master. Oh, good. Okay, so I hope all of you got it. I would suggest you save this. This is very, very helpful. Some of the URLs that you will find. It will help you install Puppet master and client. It will also help you configure Puppet master and client both. So since we have used around 10 minutes extra, as I said, I'll need few minutes more just to give you the demo. Let me show you the Puppet master configuration. A couple of things that you need to do after you install it. So go to etc Puppet manifest on master host. So this is the directory that I have. Under manifest, I have 2 files. The important one is nodes.pp. Now just let me remove the last 4 or 5 lines which I added for some testing purpose. Okay, just print the line number. Okay, first line is the permission for my node or client to connect to this machine and can use or can talk to this machine, or which is my Puppet master host. And the second, third, and fourth line ensures that HTTPD or Apache server gets installed on the node machine, for which I'm giving the permission. Line number 5 all the way till 8, yes. So line 5 to 8 ensures that your HTTPD process is running. If it is not running, it will start the service, right? So I hope this is a very simple example. Just wanted to give you an idea that what kind of config that you need to make on your Puppet master host. Again, think about a situation. I mean, in this case, what I have done, I have just added one of my client machine's IP address, and the moment I run Puppet client on my client machine, it will talk to this and will read the config and see what do I need to do. If HTTPD is not present, install it. If HTTPD service is not running, start it, right? These two very simple things. Now, the example that I gave was that you already have say 100 servers, right? And you add 101st machine. Now, will you, every time add a machine, will you come here and add a config? If you have to do it, you have not probably achieved what you want to achieve, like not in real automation. So what you do in this case, typically when you add a web host, right, you actually add an entry into your DNS as well. So think about a situation, suppose you say you manage facebook.com and Facebook has a web server, 10 web servers from 1 to 10, and the DNS entry for those hosts are www.1.facebook.com till www.10.facebook.com. And now you added www.11.facebook.com and you want that HTTPD should be installed and HTTPD process should be started. What you do, as I said, you add an entry into DNS that you have to do anyway. And here in node entry, you can have regular expression that anything after www, any number .facebook.com, you allow that particular client to pull this config from my master host and run it locally there, right? So that way, the moment you add any web host, you just have to make an entry into your, into your DNS and you're done, right? You add it and then it pulls whatever config that you have on your master to the local machine, right? Okay. So Anthony, your question is, does the package HTTPD installs Apache if it is not available? Yes. So that's what it will do. As I said, in this case, it will ensure that Apache is installed on the client machine the moment it connects. There is another question that can it be done for custom software as well? Example, I want to add more nodes of Oracle coherence. Could Puppet be used to automate? Yes, it can do that as well. Again, in this case, these are the example that I'm showing is these are standard examples like HTTPD, for example, but you can actually automate any kind of installation. Again, the syntax will be different, but what I'm trying to say is that using Puppet Master, you can actually control installation configuration of any application. Again, the syntax is different. You have to, Google it and you can find that. It's not extremely difficult. Here, I'm just trying to give you a concept like, how it works. But based on your situation, you can actually search and you will find a lot of documentation online. So Vijay, to answer your question, there's a question that whether it installs packages from repository or web. Again, you can define that. You can have your own repository if you don't want to install from web. Like what if Apache release something new and you are not sure whether this is stable or not, you can have your own local repository and you can point your Puppet to that, Puppet Master to that repository, and the moment your client connects, it will actually pull up from the repository that you have and can install it. But again, just to remind you, the idea is here to give you an idea that you have a Puppet Master where you can have all the configuration centrally defined and your client machines can pull up. But there are a lot of opportunities, lot of ways to make things better. And of course, all of you are asking the right questions, but all of these are possibilities and can be done. How to do it? Again, as I said, I may not be able to answer everything, all the questions that you have, but you go ahead and Google it here, just to give you an idea, like, how it is done. Okay, so this is my, as I said, Puppet Master. Let's go to Puppet Client now. Now let's verify. So what we want to do here is we want to install, Apache on client machine and ensure that Apache is up and running or not. Let me first find it if I already have Apache installed here. So I say RPM QA grep HTTPD. I have it here. So let me first remove it so that it can install it. Yum remove HTTPD. So it is Apache is now uninstalled. Let me query. And I have HTTPD tools, which is not for the Apache web server. I also query if I have Apache running or not. Of course, should not be because I just removed it. So I do not have Apache process running. So now if I run the client on this machine, Puppet client, it will install Apache and then it will start Apache web server on this one. There is a question whether we have GUI for Puppet. I do not know for sure. Fanindra, you can maybe check online. I have always used Puppet as a command line, but maybe there is a GUI available, which I'm not aware. Okay. Okay, so let me start my Puppet client. Oops. UPPT. Okay. Let's understand this one. So I say Puppet. I pass first argument as agent, which says that this is I'm going to run the Puppet agent, and server name is Puppet Master. Now you can give the Puppet Master IP address as well. What I have done here is I have just made a host mapping entry by adding an entry into etc host file. Right? If you see the last line, I have just added this particular IP and given the name as Puppet Master, so that I can refer my Puppet Master as just typing Puppet Master. But in real scenario, it could be like your Puppet Master dot say your domain name.com, and you can do that. You can have DNS entry and all that. Okay, let's Puppet agent. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. You may see some errors because it's not properly configured, but our objective is to ensure that Apache is installed and running. So let's see if it is installed now. So I'll do rpm-qa grep httpd, and you see this entry now, httpd 246, which got installed just now. Tools we already had, but Apache got installed. Now the second thing was to ensure whether Apache is running or not. My guess is it is not running because, yeah, so it is not running just because maybe while Apache was being installed, client was trying to start Apache as well, which of course will not work unless Apache is installed. So in this case, what will happen next time when Puppet client runs, it will start Apache because the Apache is already installed by then. But let me run it again and see what happens. And I see Apache running, right? So as I said, this was a quick demo just to give you an idea that any package can be installed, any services can be started, the configuration can be managed centrally, and you can have n number of clients and which can actually talk to your Puppet Master and can have the same configuration, same installation done across the setup that you have.